I've heard you say before that, and not just after 51s, that you wanted to live forever. It was a goal of yours.
Yeah. Definitely. And like, I think.
Do you think it's achievable?
Yeah, bro, I'm going to do it.
You
COVID willing. I'm actively planning for that. Like,
how are you planning? Are you fucking with telomeres? Like, what are you?
Telomeres is point A. So when we're thinking about living forever, right? So in the last 100 years, we've significantly increased our life expectancy, average life expectancy, right? Mm-hmm. There's natural limits that we know. No one's living till 140.
Yeah.
But there are animals in the biological kingdom that can, so it must be possible for some things, like trees can live thousands of years, so there are definitely living things that can do that. So it's not impossible. Is it impossible for a human? That's a bit trickier. But we know that, so across, at the moment, every decade we add, I think it was like 3 months to our life expectancy, something like that, in Australia. And it's kind of slowing down as we hit this ceiling. What I'm trying to do is look for technologies that can increase that, so that instead of 3 months, I'm adding 3 years every decade to my life. This enables me to take advantage of technology that happens during those extra 3 years that might extend it by another year.
So rather than tapering off, you kind of taper up in a way that
right.
you eventually become 1-to-1, like for every year.
Outrunning the Grim Reaper, bro.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, we can imagine. Okay, what about if technology is accelerating exponentially?
Yeah.
All you need to do is get to the point that life expectancy is added a year on for every year.
For every year. Yeah.
And at that point, you're functionally immortal.
Sure.
And now there are technologies that can do better than a year per year. Telomeres does a 26% extension of life in rats. Not perfect, right?
Yeah.
But that means you take your average life expectancy from 82 to 104. And that's fucking decent. That's average as well. So if you have 1/5 of your life extra to take advantage of technology, and bear in mind, the technology in the last 20 years is better than the 80 years before, right?
Yeah, quality of life is a big factor.
But the thing is, if you take all that 80 years and condense it, it's probably going to be not even as good as the technology that comes out in that last 20 years of your life because of the rate that technology's increased.
Yeah.
We understand more about the human body. Our tools are better.
Yeah.
So we're able to do things that we couldn't do in the previous 80 years.
So it's a question of catching the wave of exponential growth of technology. Like.
The little bits you can add onto the end, even if it's 6 months or a year, could be the difference between you turning 80 and you turning 800.
Yes.
It's like legitimately.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
The day that
it's difficult to think about it like that.
The day that they invent the ability to upload your brain, you're probably going to be immortal.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Actually, on that note, if you know you're not going to make it, like say you get to 90, are there any sort of mitigating procedures you would ever do to yourself, cryogenic freezing or having your brain downloaded somehow if you could?
So I've been thinking about it a lot, that maybe there's enough of a digital imprint on me in the world that cryogenics is kind of obsolete. That maybe maybe I've left a big enough imprint just in my day-to-day lives, owning a computer, having a Facebook page, making phone calls that Google records and things like this.
Sure, but it's not a replication of your consciousness.
Well,
not yet.
Would it pass a Turing test?
I don't know.
Like, would you? Okay, if you got a phone call from dead Meow a year afterwards, do you think that Google could probably have a conversation with you and pretend it's me?
Sure,
right?
But that's not your experience,
but isn't it? At that point, right? Like if it can prove, like this gets into like strong and weak AI. Right?
Sure, yeah.
There's a guy in a box. And, there's a box that translates. You write a phrase in German, you put it in, it comes out in Japanese.
Right. And if you open it up, there's a dead cat inside it.
That's it. Except it's not Schrodinger's now, it's Kiyosaki's because he got translated in the box. So basically the question is, okay, so you have a translator in there that can perfectly do it.
Yeah.
Or, and compare that with a guy that has a book that has, every German translation and every Japanese correspondent, right? Mm-hmm. Is there any difference? One, someone thinks and they punch it out, right? And one, he just looks it up in a table and he spits it back out. To the person at the other side, they experience no difference. Can that box speak Japanese and German? And does it make any difference? Like,
I don't think it makes any difference to the person who is receiving the message. But arguing whether it speaks either language, I don't think is the right question. I don't think that question makes sense.
So the reason is, there's inputs, and we can think about this as a model for the brain, right? If it can convince an outside observer that it does the job, is there any functional difference? Like, is there some magic spark that someone thinking inside a box?
Not for the observer.
Yeah.
But I don't
But I'm
think
saying,
so.
I'm saying as well at the same time that the box, right?
Yeah.
It could be a consciousness, which would be someone thinking, or it could just be looking up tables, and maybe they're exactly the same thing. Maybe that book is the translation of German into Japanese because it contains every possible case.
To see the full interview, click somewhere. I'm sure it's not too hard to figure out.